We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navarro.
All right. And don't forget, man, Gary, Billy, all the great people out there at the Big Cheese. They've been at it for over 40 years now. Go to BigCheeseMiami.com and taste the food. And something going on very important since we're in the holiday season. They've got the holiday party platters going on. Any dish can become a party platter. So if you want to treat your employees, you want to treat your students, your whoever it is, friends, family members, you're having some kind of get together and what do we get to cater? BigCheeseMiami.com. They will pick up or deliver, whichever one you want. You want to pick it up? Great. You want it delivered? They can do it. 305-662-6855 for BigCheeseMiami.com. And we're already hungry, right? That's kind of the way it goes. That's the way it is. All right, so let's get to this. First of all, we just had some recruiting stuff go on. So, what happened? What was the losses in that department?
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple big time guys. Losses not only the guys that got ended up flipping somewhere else late in the process, but then also guys that you really wanted that you weren't able to get. Gavin Nix, I think, is the one that probably stings the most. He was elite linebacker out of IMG Academy, somebody that was in Miami's class for a long, long time. But Oregon kept chipping away. Dan Lanning kept getting in his ear and telling him, hey, you don't want to go play for that Miami defense. Look at how bad they were against Syracuse. So that one stung. And then Hilton Stubbs, I think, just kind of got priced out of Miami's range. He was a guy who was a top 100 safety, a kid out of the Jacksonville area, has teammates that were committed to Florida. Gators have always recruited the Jacksonville area really well. And the fact that those guys finished the season strong and I think raised a lot of money potentially to buy out Billy Napier before he turned things around. I think a lot of that money ended up going towards high school recruits and NIL and being able to convince these guys to sign. So Miami ended up deciding not to get into a bidding war with Florida for Hilton Stubbs. So they lost two guys. That dropped them from 10th to 14th. And then they were hoping to, come back and rally and convince DJ Pickett, whose cousin is on the team, to quit on LSU. Ultimately, I think Pickett liked the money. LSU, again, Brian Kelly, bad situation over there. They needed to overspend to keep guys. I think they kind of outbidded Miami for DJ Pickett. And then they also wanted to try to get Tarvis Alford from Ohio State. Ohio State's lost a lot of head-to-head battles with Miami for guys the last couple of years. Again, I think Ohio State raised the ante to make sure Tarvis Alford wasn't lost to Miami again, another recruit late in the game. So they weren't able to get the guys they wanted. They did add Kevin Wiley, a kid out of Sefner Armwood, 4-star linebacker. Obviously not as good as Gavin Nix, but somebody that the program was happy to at least add so that they finish in the top 15 of the recruiting classes.
Sounded like Mario was a little affected in that press conference when he had to even mention that it's a smaller class, but, it was almost like kind of justifying a little bit of the bad news that came along with it.
Yeah, because ultimately this defense is such a mess right now that you're going to need to save some of that money that maybe you would have spent on high school recruits to fix the immediate problems. They need to go out and they need to get a safety. They need to address some important positions on defense and upgrade this roster. Right now, it's not good enough. You just had the number one offense in the country. You had arguably the best player in the country in Cam Ward at quarterback. You're averaging over 40 points a game, and you're sitting at home this weekend while I'm up here in Charlotte for the ACC championship game to watch SMU and Clemson play.
All right, so as we focus on the big cheeses lost, what are the big cheeses they're going to need to fill certain positions?
Well, obviously, filling Cam Ward's shoes is not going to be easy. And if you look at the transfer portal right now, there are not a lot of big, important, game-changing arms. There's some young guys that are talented, that have some starts under their belt that are available, but nobody like Cam Ward. So if you're thinking Miami's going to find another Cam Ward, the likelihood of that happening is zilch. That said, there could be some guys who enter. Obviously, transfer portal is not open until Monday. It's open 20 days. Once it opens on Monday officially, there is a group of guys who have already announced that they're entering the portal. One of them is your backup quarterback, Reese Poffenbarger. He's the first Hurricane to throw his name into the transfer portal. But beyond Reese, not a lot of experience, not a lot of big time playmakers. Matthew Sluka, the kid from UNLV, entered a long time ago after he helped UNLV get off to that big start. EJ Warner, you know who his dad is, Kurt Warner, was the starter at Rice, 31 game starter. He's in there. Caden Salter from Liberty, Cade McNamara from Iowa. You got Keon Jenkins from FIU, who's a 2-year starter for FIU. He decided to jump in. Thomas Castellanos from Boston College, Ashton Daniels from Stanford. Those are the guys with over 20 career starts that are available to you. Again, I told you there's no Cam Ward. To me, the most intriguing names are Jackson Arnold, who was the starting quarterback this past season at Oklahoma, redshirt freshman, 5-star kid who just didn't have a lot in the way of help at the position. And then you have a couple of other younger guys that are prospects, that are interesting. Connor Wegman, he's got 13 career starts. He started, and lost the job at Texas A&M. I don't know if he's necessarily a good fit here. But again, more names could potentially join. I think the best one available right now is Jackson Arnold.
Okay. All right. But Williams, I know it was a little bit when we saw him, but man, he's been through so much. He should get the first shot at this.
He certainly won the locker room over. He's got a lot of fans in the locker room, which is important. A quarterback needs to be able to have the respect of his teammates and the respect of the coaches. And so I think without question, Emory Williams will be given an opportunity. I also think, looking at the way he performed last year, even though he got the win against Clemson and kept Miami close against Florida State, it's not good enough in my mind. In my opinion, I think you're requiring him to take a big leap. And I know he didn't play a lot this year because Cam Ward had to play every single game. Miami wasn't enough blowouts to get Emory enough snaps, but it's an unknown. And if you're a program like Miami who's disappointed coming off of a disappointing finish to your season, not getting to the ACC championship, you prefer a more known commodity than the unknown with Emory Williams. And I think that's why you have to dress quarterback.
Wow, but that's a catch-22.
Yeah.
Because if Emory, after paying his dues, he sacrificed his body, got injured for you a couple years ago. Now he sat behind Cam Ward. When you did play him, he looked good. And now if you go and recruit somebody, you're basically telling him, we have no faith in you. If I'm him, I'm gone. So if you do recruit somebody, you will lose him. And I know you have the other kid. Now I'm forgetting his name. Now I'm brain farting. But
Judd Anderson, the freshman, and then the kid that they just signed as well.
Right. So yeah. I mean, it's, and if you're a guy that's trying to pay his dues in Miami, that's not a good sign either if you're behind Williams, because you're like, well, wait a minute, bro. This guy's been here 2 years. He sacrificed his body, and they went and recruited somebody else, and he's just using up his availability being a backup. So it's, it's kind of
catch-22, but it's the way the college football is now. Everybody realizes that, your coach is going to go out and continue to recruit the position so that they get the elite player that they want, and that's just the way it is. And look, it's one of those deals. Whoever they sign, if assuming Miami signs a quarterback, will be here to compete in the spring, and depending on which one of those two guys looks better, that's who probably goes into the fall as a starter, and the other guy takes off and gets back in the transfer portal and leaves. That's just the way it works.
Right. No. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. But I kind of feel bad for the kid because he's earned the right to have an open competition.
Yeah, he will. He'll get to compete. He's just got to outperform the transfer.
Not if you're paying him $1 million. It just doesn't work out that way. The Williams is not getting paid that kind of money, right?
No, but this is the way it is in college football, man. It is. And look, there is another spring transfer portal window. So a player who comes in here and tries out for this quarterback job, may decide, hey, Emory Williams is better than me. I'm going to go somewhere else. And they'll believe me, if they're good enough, they'll find somewhere else to go. But that's the cutthroat nature of the way things are now.
I just think once you pay that guy $1 million, $1.5 million, he's your guy. And you're not going to give Williams.
That's why these contracts are spread out over months. And if they leave, they forfeit the money. That's just the way it works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy stuff. All right. Anything else on the recruiting trail, that recruiting front, that they need to focus on another position?
Well, I think safety, I think certainly you saw the way that Miami got burned in the secondary towards the end of the season. Just they got a little crispy out there. There's some good players that are out there. Miami fans, I know, were really excited about this kid from Purdue who hopped in there. He was the Big 12 or Big 10 freshman of the year 2 years ago, Dylan Thieneman. I tend to think that's the kind of kid who ends up at Michigan or Ohio State, but certainly Miami will make the push to bring in an elite safety, somebody who can come in and help Zaquan Patterson and some of the other younger guys that they really like, buy them some time to develop, teach them how to play the position, and groom them for the future. So I think that's a huge position of need, and I think that's a guy that Miami fans need to know his name.
All right, treat your friends and family members and your loved ones. A little lasagna, a little baked ziti, the pizza, those delicious garlic rolls at the Big Cheese. Go to BigCheeseMiami.com, and the holiday party platters are very popular. So if you're having some kind of get-together, some corporate deal, whatever it is, call the Big Cheese, 305-662-6855, so you can order it. And, of course, you can follow my guy Manny on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. You got anything going on the Athletic, on the recruiting side?
Yeah, I just did a brand new podcast on Until Saturday, giving my recruiting thoughts. Wrote a big story on the big takeaways nationally. Did mention Miami in there. Did mention the hated Florida Gators in there as well, who had a magical turnaround with those 3 wins late in the season and had a great recruiting class, it turned out to be. So if you want to read about all that, you can check it out over at The Athletic. Download the podcast, Wide Right, as well. If you want to hear me talk more about the Canes.
It's interesting because both those teams up there kind of made a complete turnaround 2 different ways. One saved their season because they started to play much better football. Luckily for Miami, they weren't playing them now and not at the beginning, or the beginning of the season when they did. And then on the Florida State side, they said, no, we're not getting rid of Norma. We're just going to change his coaching staff. And they went and got the coordinators. Yep. Did you like those moves?
Yeah, I did. I thought, the coach in Nebraska, good defensive coordinator, good play caller. They needed a change there after the way the season went. And getting Gus Malzahn, who's an excellent offensive mind. Now, to me, you can have the greatest coaches in the world. You don't have the Jerrys and the Joes, don't matter. So I'm very interested to see who Florida State gets out of the portal to come play quarterback. I think Caden Salter, the kid from Liberty, is probably the best fit for what they want to do offensively. Gus Malzahn loves to run his quarterbacks, dual threat guys. I think that's the guy who probably fits Florida State the best.
Manny Navarro is the best. Follow him there at The Athletic. Subscribe, and on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. It's our BigCheeseMiami.com NIL and recruiting report.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!